Hi, my name's Jim. I'm here to talk about composition after Pollock, after minimalism. And I'd like to just start with pictorial space. We have Cezanne, and it's very, very rooted in the earth. It's two men playing cards, and they're sitting at a table, and it's traditional picture space. And this is a modern image. This is a free-floating zero-G astronaut. And there's no up or down, there's no gravity, there's no orientation. He's free-floating. And I'm saying that that is going to be reflected in the types of art we make in the future. This is one of my paintings. It's just three very bold brushstrokes floating in space. And this is how we get to space. We use these big rockets with their exhaust, and it takes us out of gravity. It takes us up into space. And there's nothing between us and space. There's nothing there. There's no wall. There's gravity, but that's the only thing that keeps us here. This is a deep field photograph of the universe. Edwin Hubble was the first man 100 years ago that saw another galaxy besides the Milky Way. So here we are as humans trying to understand where we are and what we're about, and the only thing we see is the Milky Way. Oh, that must be the universe. No. So this is the James Webb Space Telescope. And this is where we live. This is the universe. We're part of the universe. These are Cezanne's apples. They sit on a table, gravity, contained room, vignette. This is what the universe is like. Free floating, no gravity, no Sunday afternoon playing cards. We're here in space. This is one of my pieces, and it's inspired by Edwin Hubble's deep field photo. Similar to this is more detailed, and I just want to compare it to Cezanne's apples. This is real space. It's free floating. I think it's a picture. You can call it a relief, what you want. It's not a sculpture. It's free floating. So before we get too much into art, I'd like to introduce you to some of the more unusual objects that are up in space. This is a magnetar. It is a neutron star, and this stage only lasts about 10,000 years. This is kind of my version. It's not quite big enough to become a black hole, so it will stay as a neutron star, but not as a magnetar. The magnetar phase only lasts 10,000 years, and the magnetic field is so strong that it literally melts atomic matter. So it's a really weird place. You don't want to go near it. They've discovered quite a few of those. That's easy. This is the sun, the moon, and the earth. This is very simple. This is our backyard, literally. The geometric term for this eclipse, this is an eclipse, is syzygy for all of you Scrabble players. Three Y's, syzygy. That's the geometric term for an eclipse. So I've captured in a relief picture, I've captured an eclipse. It's breaking the rectangle, which implies instability or change. So everything's going to move on past the eclipse. Everything's in orbit. And I've used real space to sort of imply that instability and the orbital velocity. This is Castor. For centuries, it's the second star in the Gemini constellation. And for centuries, we saw it as one star. And with more advanced telescopes, particularly the Hubble, it turns out it's actually 6 stars. all in orbit around each other. So in more primitive telescopes, we saw it as one star. It's actually six. We have a pair here in this giant orbit, and we have two smaller pairs in this other small orbit, and it's all combined into one. Imagine the sunset. So instead of one sun, you've got these six things. Never mind. And this is my sort of creative reenactment of Castor with, again, dimensional gesture that implies orbital mechanics and free-floating whatever. It's not Cezanne's apples. This is a black hole. They've actually really taken a photograph of a black hole. You can't photograph it directly. This is an artist's depiction. What you see, the black hole is actually somewhat smaller and in there. The Schwarzschild radius is blackness, you can't see it. And the weird shaped lights, that's energy. As particles accelerate and try to fall into it, they have to lose energy and they emit light. So these are some of the kind of interesting objects in my interpretation of them. Now I'm going to get to more into the art. A lot of these are nebula, and they're just really some of the most beautiful objects. It's a little bit of a lie, though. They're composite images. They're of visible light and infrared light and gamma radiation stuff. So the scientists literally color them artificially. So this isn't exactly geometrically, this is what the Butterfly Nebula looks like. But the colors aren't correct. This is the Veil Nebula, or I like to refer to it as Cygnus Loop because it's in the constellation Cygnus, the swan. This is one of my favorite objects. This is more what it looks like through a telescope. Now, if you add the different wavelengths, you get a much, much more complex picture than this. But we're going to come back to the Cygnus Loop. This is a really early piece of mine. It's made out of wood, but it kind of reminds me of like the exploding star. Oh, this I was just going to mention. This is 25,000 light years away, or 2,500 light years away, and it's about 110 light years across. So this explosion was just incredible. Huge. This is a Pollux. Pollux in outer space. What can I say? This is the Cat's Eye Nebula. Again, it's false color, but this is what it looks like. This is, aside from the color, it's just beautiful. It's a free-floating, beautiful object. And it's not a Cezanne apple. It's more complex than that, and it needs more space to explain itself. This is the kind of space I'm talking about. So if you add space to picture making, you can convey more complex ideas than you can on a flat surface. And the epitome of that is Frank's Stella. This is just whacked. So you've got your frame on the wall, and it's brightly colored, and then you've got this 3D printed, I don't know what to call it. I'm going to call it a blob, complex blob. It's just wonderful. I mean, Stella's on Jupiter. I mean, look at this thing. He's just nuts. What separates Stella from other artists is that Stella is not only wild and out there, but his pieces can reflect really nutty beauty. They can be beautiful. And this is just extraordinary. The guy's nuts. I don't know, he's in the next galaxy over. He's way ahead of everything. Now, I'm going to roll this away, and I'm going to unveil my take on the Veil Nebula, or Cygnus Loop. And that's right here. So again, it's false color. But basically, the idea here is an exploding star. And it's not a flat image, but it's not a sculpture. There's no mass. There's no depiction of mass. It's a free-floating linear line drawing colored of the Cygnus loop of the Veil Nebula. This is quite an assortment of images here. I'll do my best to link them together, but before I do, I want to take you on a journey. This is a detail of the Eagle Nebula. And I'm going to take you from Earth to the Eagle Nebula. Okay, here we go. We're blasting off. The Eagle Nebula is almost in the center of the Milky Way as we look towards our galaxy on edge. So it appears in the black line, which is dust. It's the center of the galaxy as we approach a flat disk. So, and here it comes, and it'll come into focus. So here's actually a false color close-up of, this is called the Pillars of Creation. Now this is an actual image. This is Hubble. This is a photograph from Hubble, and these are dust clouds towards the center of the Milky Way from our perspective of the Eagle Nebula. So instead of being amazed by the science and seeing this dust, this is an exploded star, and these are stars being born as the dust collapses. So instead of being amazed by this technology and by what we're seeing here and trying to understand it, all over the internet, you get people like trying to pull images out of here. They go, oh, here's a puppy dog. I see a puppy dog. Oh, here's a cat. Oh, a cute little kitten. Oh, look at, there's flowers. I mean, so the overwhelming need for images just astounds me. To me, this is just, in fact, some people refer to this as the hand of God because it resembles, never mind. To me, the larger issues are compositional, free-floating space, whatever. So as a continuation of that argument, we have, here's a Picasso, and it's a woman viewing herself in the mirror. So it's a triple entendre. So we're the viewer viewing a woman that's viewing herself. And so this was from the 1930s. And to me, it's an okay painting, but it's traditionally European. It's focusing on image in as I said, a triple way, and it's a fine picture, except that while Picasso was painting this, the abstract expressionists 10 years later knocked Paris off the throne of world art capital. He's literally wasting his time here as Pollock and de Kooning and the rest of the American gang stole his crown. And again, this is a traditional type of subject matter. We've talked about the Van Eyck before, where you've got your mirror and it's reflecting the people that are viewing them. So it's another triple entendre. It's a traditional subject matter. But both of these are focused on image. And image kills gesture. So when you're going to make a painting today, the power of your picture is not in the image, it's in your gesture. And Jasper Johns is showing you how. He's starting to introduce gesture over image. This is a physical object. This is starting to again do what the Impressionists were doing. The Impressionists were draining away image and starting to reapply gesture. And what you have now, if you're going to do representation again, is you're going to have an emoji. This is the extent of representational image making today. You're dealing with emojis. There's nothing else. There's no other image. What you need now is you need to make a powerful picture. It's not image, it's your gesture. This is a cathedral. Now getting back to science, if you take the simplest of atoms, take a hydrogen atom, it's one proton, which is 99.9% of the mass of the atom, and an electron. That's what makes a hydrogen atom. So if you scale up an atom to the size of a cathedral, so your electron is this big, the proton is a fly in this cathedral. That's how much space there is in atoms. So when you try to condense matter into a black hole or into a sun, even any sort of larger thing, you have to collapse that atom. You have to collapse that cathedral down into a fly. Major artists always seem to project their creativity into the future, and I'd like to bring up Picasso's guitar, because that to me, even though it is representational, literally puts him into the future even now. The guy was out there. It's like the same with someone like Stella. This is square 2 swan engraving. To me, it just helps epitomize like the energy in subatomic systems. So you've got neutron star chemistry here. You've got this piece was originally called neutron capture. So one of the ways that matter condenses itself into a neutron star or a black hole is it adds neutrons. And so this is just called neutron capture. So it's all these atoms in this hyper energetic state adding neutrons as it gets denser and squeezed together. And I put Cezanne's apples back in there. But here you have, again, Stella with this kind of energetic type of image that literally will be valid way into the future. It's just like so advanced. It's graphic outside of image. It's gestural. I still just really love that. Here again, you've got kind of atomic type of system. And it happens on all levels. Here's Matisse with his red room, and it's kind of, he's coming into surface flatness and breaking things up, and it's just more energetic than a pure image. He's not trying to give you a pure image. He's making it more complex. He's saying there's more visual information here than if I'm trying to do a pure image. This again also, on the subatomic level, sort of mimics the galactic level, where you've got free space, no gravity, no up or down, free floating geometry. It sort of all comes together. It's not Sunday afternoon at your grandma's house eating apples and looking at her pretty flowers. It's more advanced than that. Thank you.